Now, on Enough Said, with K-Fans Dan Barrero.
People were Brewsterized, too, early.
Yes.
They were.
And Justin Guard.
It always happens with a new coach.
This is different.
Yeah.
Enough Said.
We'll see what happens, but, a previous administration does something, you have to respect that. But you can also say, why are we doing this?
Welcome back. Another edition of Enough Said. Dan Barrero is my name. Justin Guard is with me. And, of course, Lori Fisher is back in the control room. Hi, Lori.
Hi, guys. Hi, let's get started. President Trump isn't backing down from his agenda. You have a lot of headlines, protests here and across the country, and what the president was just talking about, a fight with Australia's prime minister over a deal by the Obama administration to take in refugees rejected by Australia. Dan, you call it a shock and awe approach to government?
Yeah, I mean, that's, I think, what they want it to be, don't you? I think they want to be over the top.
Yeah.
And then they're either going to keep going over the top, doubling down on themselves, or then they start pulling it back a little bit when, I don't know, they feel like even they feel guilty by what they're doing. I would give, if we want to do letter grades, I'd give Trump an F on the refugee plan. Now, that's kind of old news.
From last week, yes.
From last week.
For sure.
That was last weekend. I give him an F on the rollout, the whole bit was a disaster, not even carefully vetted at all. He never gave himself a chance on that. And I'm going to give him an advance F on the new one, which is apparently he wants to ease restrictions on political limits on churches. And the good news is that's legislation. So as I understand it, it's limited how far you can go.
You can't just executive order it?
I like where we've had this for many decades, that there's a separation there between church and state. He apparently, I don't know if that's red meat for his audience, but I'm going to give him an F if he really wants to go forward. Already, yeah.
It's hard to keep track. Every hour or so we get another headline of something that he said or something that he's done, a country that he's made upset. And if I know Congress is getting involved. I know McCain has gotten involved now, too.
Well, you know the McCain joke.
What's that?
McCain, clean up on aisle 7.
That's what it is, though.
That's basically his new role.
If you're an ambassador or you have a tie to a country where it's kind of your responsibility to keep things civil, you're nervous, I think, every step of the way, especially if it's a country that we've had good relationships with, like Australia, for example, where now everybody is saying, nope, we want to be a good partner. We want to, even Mexico, for that matter. The last handful of years, people were trying to calm that one down. It's almost like I'd be in the back of the room going, gosh, I hope he doesn't call on my country. I hope he doesn't notice that we had this deal with them and it's not perfect, because if I have to make a phone call, I'm going to be in trouble.
This is, again, right out of his TV show. I think in his opinion, his strategy is, I want everybody off balance. I can always kind of come back, I want everybody off balance. Not realizing that there may be some consequences.
Ramifications.
Can I also give the media a bad letter grade? C- to D.
Do you like anybody? You're giving everybody a bad grade.
No, because we've talked about this on the radio. There's a sports cliche about letting the game come to you, and a player who doesn't sometimes forces it and fails. And in the media, I think we got to let the story come to you as well. Now, I know in media they say, well, no, we go out and get the story. Make sure it's a story. Example yesterday, brush fire breaks out. We've already eased the sanctions on Russia. Then an hour or two later, we go, oh, actually, it's a technical adjustment that goes back to the Obama
kind of the same
administration.
thing. Yeah, you're right.
The MLK bust out of the White House didn't happen. The African-American, Black History Month, TMZ went nuts that Trump has already renamed it after all these years, African-American History Month. What's that about? You know what it turned out to be? It's been officially that for a number of years. So, there's stuff to get. But make sure you get it, because otherwise you're hurting your own credibility, and you're trying too hard, as far as I'm concerned.
Where do you stand on the Bowling Green massacre in terms of the actual verbiage?
Well,
gotta wrap it up.
It's hard for me to give them the benefit of the doubt on it, because I do think they were trying, because that can happen if you just misslip. There was no massacre, but there were people there, and that is a story. But it's hard for me to give them the benefit of the doubt on that they weren't trying to mislead, right?
They were trying to mislead.
Yes.
Yeah, well,
and make it something that it wasn't.
And that won't be the first time that'll happen, for sure.
Okay, let's move on with the Super Bowl this weekend and recent lower football TV ratings. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell talked about potential changes next season, including shorter games, fewer TV timeouts, and fewer teams playing a Thursday night game. What moves do you think they should really make, Justin?
Well, let's start with the last one. Fewer Thursday night games, I think. Or fewer teams. Make sure that the teams, number one, are good. Don't just give it to everybody.
Changes every year, though.
Well, but you can guess. I mean, we do it for Monday night and we do it for Sunday night. If there's a way to somehow make it where they have a bye either before or after, maybe before, so that they're not on 2.5 days rest to go in and do another NFL car crash.
It's not a very physically
not typically
draining or dangerous
football
game.
No, not in the NFL. I never thought NFL games, I think they are kind of nicely packaged into that 3 hour to 3:15.
Far more than college football.
100% right. So I didn't think they had a huge issue, but you're never going to get me to argue, even though we're on TV right now, that fewer TV timeouts aren't going to, like the one after the kickoff, after they've already had a timeout, eliminate that. It's meaningless. Go ahead and add an extra 30 seconds somewhere else, but you don't need 2 timeouts back to back like that.
No, I agree with you. I mean, the bold thing to do, and I don't think they're capable of doing this, would be we're eliminating the Thursday night game. Now, they claim they're not going to do that, but that would be the right thing to do. I think it would send the right message, and maybe even we get that there's limits to what we can do. That limits. Let's show
the National Football League.
Let's show some humility. Which is really
good
tough
luck
in the
with
National
that.
Football League. Exactly right.
Or do special Thursday night game. One,
exactly.
To start the season, I think it's great. Kick off the weekend, do whatever, but you don't need one every week.
Well, the other thing that's odd that I think should be concerning is suddenly a lot of franchise movement. And, because the league you've always thought of as being very stable and very little movement. And now we have not only moves, but kind of odd moves. And now the Raiders move is very much up in the air because one of the big Vegas backers, he's bitter. He backed out.
Right.
And so they may not even have, I think, the money to get it done.
San Diego might want the Raiders now. Did you hear about that one?
I did.
A lot of weird things going on out west.
The game itself, though, I still think is pretty durable. I do.
I agree.
I think people are too into it where the league has to worry about, this is the beginning of the end or anything like that. I don't buy that at all, but you're allowed to tweak.
Well, it's interesting, too, that they're noticing, even the NFL, which is basically Teflon. We've talked about it forever. They can have any kind of scandal. They can have any kind of crisis, and they've been able to survive it. I do think it's smart of them to take note what other sports are having to do, what other trends on how to watch. They streamed a lot of games online this year for the first time, which I thought was smart. So they are they're not getting lazy, which I think is the worst thing they could do in
One other
in
suggestion
the NFL. What's
can we
that?
throw out there? If reporters ask questions of the players about Trump or politics and they answer them, include them in the transcripts on Super Bowl week. You're not gaining anything by that. Nobody's confused. Nobody's, like, well, they must not have talked about it. Don't be afraid of it. And we can argue about how much questioning should be going in, but this is an open session.
Enough said.
So apparently it was just eliminated.
I didn't hear that.
The commissioner said he didn't know anything about it.
Of course he didn't.
But it's dumb. It's just stupid. You kill your own credibility with it.
Okay, moving on. I think it's fair to say that she pretty much crushed the national anthem at the Super Bowl last year. Lady Gaga gets the entire halftime show this Sunday. Reporters asked her at the press conference if she was going to make a political statement during her show. Here's what she had to say.
The only statements that I'll be making during the halftime show are the ones that I have been consistently making throughout my career. I believe in a passion for inclusion. I believe in the spirit of equality and the spirit of this country as one of love and compassion and kindness. So my performance will uphold those philosophies.
Now, she won't reveal how many costume changes she's going to make or her song list. Do you guys think you're going to be blown away by her performance or ripping it come Monday morning? Dan?
Those are two polarizing options. There's no gray area. There's no middle ground.
And we don't, I guess, can I say it? It'll depend on
how she does
and how it hits me.
Is there a costume?
Is that okay?
Well, is there a costume limit for you that will determine your grade?
I've seen Gaga.
Gaga's good.
I got forced to go see Gaga, and
you went to the actual concert.
I did.
That's right.
And my wife's a big Gaga fan, or was.
So you have to like
it. She works it. It's not my cup of tea necessarily, but I can see some talent there. By the way, her answer was yes, as far as I'm concerned on the protest. Her answer was, in effect, yes. And that might make me roll my eyes because
but it is how she's always done it.
I have a harder time, I admit this, listening to political expression, whatever side of the aisle it's on, from actors, actresses, singers, etc., because I don't trust any of them.
That's fair.
And especially when a couple of them are saying, we need a military junta to take over, or we need martial law. I think that was your gal, Rosie, said.
Oh, Rosie O'Donnell?
This was before the before he became president. we need to establish martial law and stop him from gaining power.
And don't forget what Madonna said a couple of weeks ago. That was totally different. I think it's going to be fine. I know we're all...
I'd rather have Tony Bennett, but I admit that
for the halftime show?
That probably, you need more movement.
Maybe he could do the anthem, though. He could do the national anthem.
They work together all the time, haven't they?
They do. They're in the Barnes & Noble commercials.
Maybe he comes out for one song.
Maybe that's the cameo.
In some sort of a peacock outfit.
Or maybe he careens down. Maybe he does some kind of flyover. He's 90,
well, he's
so
90,
that might not be smart.
Yeah.
But they did that with the Olympics. Remember, they pretended in London that I think the Queen Elizabeth was parachuting in. So
true.
you could pretend. I mean, it is entertainment after all.
It ain't going to be Prince. We'll all agree.
Well, we know that it's never going to be Prince.
And I'll admit, even though that's one of you guys' things, that it couldn't be as good as Prince did it, it was good. It was legit.
Princess
I'm an outsider.
And you know it rained during Purple Rain. I don't know if you know that.
I do.
It actually rained in Miami. I think it's going to be fine. I think we overreact.
And I thought we did a tremendous job finding the most elite talent, not necessarily skill, but talent. All right, talent, skill plus your heart, your spirit, your soul, the inside, right? Your how. I thought they did a tremendous job of finding our types of players.
Gopher football head coach PJ Fleck speaking on National Signing Day. He says now is the time to invest like the stock market, and that his team did an elite job of hitting their recruiting points. You have to admit he's very passionate. Dan, you got to meet him for the first time face-to-face. Was it an elite day, and were what you called Flecknotized? Were you Flecknotized?
I'll be honest with you. Because of you,
what do you
among
mean?
others, I might end up suffering from Flecknophobia.
So you're not inflected?
I'm not Flecknotized yet. Is it okay to not be Flecknotized yet? Is it okay to say, can we at least wait for the first 9 victory season? Can we at least wait for a recruiting class that is okay? And again, I'll admit it was a difficult situation.
Yes.
But it's not like top 20. And before we decide that not only is he mesmerizing, is he Flecknotizing?
Well, he is mesmerizing.
He can actually coach.
Well, that's what we have.
Combination of both.
That's what we have to figure out. But in terms of mesmerizing and Flecknotizing and inflecting people with Fleckfluenza on Fleck Friday, by the way. Oh, it's endless. It's the greatest name of all time.
Do they all have to be alliterative or not?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have to take the long view of it. But I've been surprised how many people are immediately dismissing
Why
him.
are you?
And,
dismissing it?
Oh, and saying negative stuff about.
What are you
there's
talking
plenty.
about?
Oh, I was on the radio this week. People were like,
if you did
it's
a poll,
Brewster
it'd be
2.0. Or here's the two things we're traumatized by in this town. We need to get over both of them. Lou Holtz, which was 30 years ago.
Yeah, that's a long time
It's the separation anxiety and the trauma from that.
Lou Holtz has nothing to do with this guy.
Neither does Tim Brewster, who's the other one that we're traumatized by because, we don't know. But we have to forget about Brew. We have to forget about Holtz. Let's try to live in the moment for a little bit. We wanted a guy. We wanted the face of a program. We wanted a leader type after Tracy Claeys.
I don't know where these emails you're getting, because the ones I'm getting are people are into it.
Well, that's because you're more negative than I am initially. I'm
not negative.
No, you're not. But
I'm saying
you're not like me.
The signs are that the guy can coach, but let's be fair about it and be honest about this. People were Brewsterized too early.
Yes.
They were. They said, this is different.
It always happens with a new coach.
This is different.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean Brewster has this guy's coaching chops, because he doesn't.
No.
I think that's already established.
It is.
But the point is, and you're right, we got to get over it, but we tend to do this. This is what we do. And we have said before, though, it's a home run if he can coach and be the dynamic center that sort of creates this energy an identity that University of Minnesota football has not had in a pro town.
The athletic department in general.
There's no question.
The face of the athletic department. There's one way it's being framed.
It's never thick for you, though. There's never a time where you go,
sure,
okay,
but what
I get it.
But what I appreciate
elite
about
is the key
PJ,
word.
and I think I have a good enough vibe with him to call him PJ.
That he has a sense of humor about it? I'm not sure he does.
Well, no, on Wednesday he said, look, you have to have some thick skin. If you're going to roll around and say things like elite and row the boat, people are going to make fun of you, and you got to be able to handle that. I do think he has a self-awareness where, if you want to bring Brewster in again, he's blocked the entire state of Minnesota on Twitter. He has the thinnest skin of all time. I do think he's got a little bit of a thick
and I'll give him one other point in his favor. He knows people don't like him. There's some people, and even some coaches don't like him, and he doesn't care, which is important. Because if you care, it can eat you up, and I don't think that's gonna get in his way.
He also provides lots of sound bites. It's tough to choose one because they're so good.
He's elite.
Very
like
elite.
this show, just like this segment.
And like the Wild. The Wild are elite.
Tony Robbins, whatever.
They may have lost to the Oilers, but they're still hot. They just recalled the 2014 first-round pick forward Alex Tuck, He'll make his NHL debut Saturday against Vancouver. Is the Wild the best regular season team in Minnesota hockey history? Dan.
Wow.
I'll let you answer that.
That's a big
Gotta
statement.
get through that.
Well, I would think it is.
It's got to be close.
Yeah, it's better than any of the North Stars.
Notwithstanding
We've heard that.
our most recent loss the other day.
Well, that's the interesting thing is, Minnesota fans, we're all NFLized now, where every day you have to have an opinion on a season or a game, and if you lose, why did they lose? If you win, why did they win? They lost the other day, and I had this weird feeling. It was surprising because I'm just so used to them winning. They've won so many games. I sat there and I said, oh, I guess they're not going to win every game. And I don't feel like it's the end of the world. I feel like they're just going to go in the room, they're going to make a few adjustments maybe, alternative facts, and they're going to go play Vancouver.
They're doing more than that. They're bringing up the young
one of the hot shots.
And they're very unhappy and very concerned with Charlie Coyle, right?
Which they should be in the last 17 games.
And he's had some issues. There's no question about that. In a way, I kind of like this because it's them. It almost seems to be them saying
we're not satisfied.
We're not satisfied. Although the last coach who did that,
who was that?
His name was Mike Zimmer. When we were 5-0,
Fat Cats get slaughtered.
Fat Cats get slaughtered, and they did get slaughtered.
I'd say a little bit more equity with this Wild club right now.
Well,
than
it's longer
the 5-0
into the season.
Minnesota Vikings, and you look at the depth that they've been able to do. 7 players
What's the name
have
of the
30
young guy,
points.
by the way? I forgot
Alex
his name.
Tuck.
Tuck, exactly.
2014
We're bringing him up.
first-round pick.
Phenom, great numbers. It's time to see what he can do while they're unhappy with Coyle.
And and it doesn't have to be just Coyle. We've talked about it on this show a lot.
Yeah.
It can be anybody at any time that's going to be up and down the lineup, that's going to be in and out of the lineup. I like that. 7 players with 30 points or more. No one named Parisi. No one
Great
named
balance.
Pominville, which is, if you would have said that before the season, I think people would have said you're crazy. So, yeah, I just felt very serene, like, well, they lost, and we'll move on.
You're flectized.
Yes.
You're Boudreauxized.
I've got the Boudreaux flu.
Well.
The Boudreaux flu.
And I can be with you more on the Boudreaux thing because I think they are better. What they're going to be able to do with it, we still don't know. But they're playing the way you want it. Everybody wanted to see them step up
Take
one
another
level
step,
at least.
yes.
And they've clearly done that in a way that I'm not sure everybody foresaw, but they're getting it done, and people should feel good about it. It's a very good regular season.
And now you just get to the postseason where they're going to be judged, and that's what every organization wants,
That's
right?
true.
Where you almost make the regular season meaningless, and it's just about getting to the postseason and what you do after that.
Lori's bored.
And I apologize. I said they lost to the Oilers. They lost to the Flames.
Thank you.
Let's quick get to the Timberwolves. They are trying to get back into the playoff picture. They were hammered by the Cavaliers earlier this week. The team had won 5 out of the 6 previous games. What do you think, Dan?
Do you have a Tibbs temperature?
I'm encouraged. I mean, I think there were a lot of people who were getting haughty and saying, well, Cleveland doesn't have a chance. LeBron's unhappy.
Yeah.
Kevin Love, they got at
He's
least
arguing
2
with
main
Barkley.
players out. He's arguing with Barkley. We're hot. We're going to go in there and destroy them. And they got destroyed.
They did.
They kind of
Worst loss of
reverted
the year.
defensively. Yeah, exactly it. No, would it be Thibodeauized? It's not very catchy.
Tibbs fever?
Maybe Tibbs fever of some sort.
Tibbs
I'm
temp.
encouraged. They're headed in the right direction. I like that we didn't panic that, this guy was going to make them feel bad and they're all going to want to leave. He's a tough guy because that's exactly what they needed. And if you listen to what he's offering and what he's saying, this is stuff that is going to get them to another place if they will stick with it. Now, they got to make some changes, I think, to the roster. But,
yes.
And I don't know if they make the playoffs or not.
I kind of lean no at this point.
Yeah.
We're pretty late in the year now, right? I mean, we're in the last 25, 30 games.
Not many games out, but you got a bunch of teams you're messing with as well.
Yeah.
But you're starting to see some stuff kick in. The guy who's kind of fading a little bit is Levine.
I was going to bring that up,
which is a little concerning.
Well, yeah, but he was always seen as the third of the 3.
True.
Right? I think.
But he was rising a little bit.
But he definitely ascended. Well, maybe not participating in the dunk contest will help him out. Or maybe he needs to participate in the dunk contest in a couple of weeks to get back to the glory days of his career.
Here's a good thing. Again, if you want to get positive for a change, and I always like to. And
yes,
you're the negative
your glass
one.
half full.
The Wild are legit. And the Wolves are legit on a different plateau. They haven't proven as much as the Wild have, but we're starting to see it come together where you can sort of see where this might be going.
Yes.
Notwithstanding what, the elephant in the room, which is, are you going to keep Rubio or not?
And do all these guys want to stay together 3, 4, 5 years from now? Because
they love each other.
That's what they say now.
Yeah.
But we're Minnesota
Then
sports
there's the
fans. What do we do?
The money,
the business, we're always worried.
Time for the lightning round. Justin, you thought we would lead the entire show with Beyonce, so I thought we could at least lead the lightning round with Beyonce.
I'm shocked it's taken this long to get to Beyonce. Or Kardashian, for that matter.
We'll get to Kardashian. Let's see the picture. Beyonce announces she is pregnant with twins. She broke the internet. Those were quite the maternity pictures. Justin.
They were. They already have the one baby. Now they're going to have 3. It did break the internet. I think that picture right there was like the most retweeted or liked Insta photo of all time. And I know it was emotional for you as a big Bay fan.
Well, you know what? It's the first sign, by the way, of the change in the Twins' strategy and organization. You saw that?
They went after it.
We tweeted out, a couple of jerseys of the 2 Beyonce twins. That's Falvey and Levine.
We're thinking big.
They're funky. They're thinking outside the box. They're thinking, modern.
They're hitting out with it and wow.
And there is a chance we could see her Sunday. Gaga said, don't read into anything, but she did have on her Instagram like a little bee, so we could see Beyonce on Sunday.
Or Bennett, Tony Bennett.
Or Tony Bennett, who gave her advice for Sunday.
You might not sleep on Saturday night.
It's going to be tough. Okay, next up, Oprah is back. She has been named a special contributor to 60 Minutes. Executives say her stories will help facilitate real conversations between people from different backgrounds. Dan?
Less excited about this or Beyonce's babies?
It's a toss-up.
It's very tight.
I couldn't be less interested in either one of them.
What do you mean?
Okay, then let's move on.
Come on, it's Oprah. It's
it's great. I mean, Oprah, it's fine. Oprah's a legend.
She's done a few good interviews.
Okay, we're moving on because Justin wants to talk about the Kardashians. Kim announced on Twitter that she's starting a book club with her friends and encouraging others to join. They're going to start with the bestseller Embraced by the Light. Justin, are you going to do that this weekend?
Embraced by the Light. Have you read Embraced by the Light?
No, my assumption was the first book would be Cat in the Hat.
See,
so
you're profiling.
I am. I'm profiling.
She's done, well, didn't she put out a book all of butt selfies?
Almost.
I thought, Laura, you had that, didn't you?
It wasn't just.
It was all selfies. Yeah. She put a book together just of selfies. Yeah. So I give her credit for not leading with that, saying you're all going to buy my book and read this book.
I will not be a member of the book club, will you?
Okay, we'll stay on the celebrity beat.
We'll find out.
President Trump took a moment to ask people at the National Prayer Breakfast to pray for Arnold Schwarzenegger. He is the host of Celebrity Apprentice. The ratings are down, and then Arnold fired back and said, we can switch jobs if you're such an expert in ratings. Dan?
Well, it was
2017.
It was, I'm not, I guess, offended or surprised anymore that at a place where it doesn't seem appropriate, he's going to talk about, at a prayer breakfast.
I thought it was funny.
Pray for Arnold. I was not that bothered.
I liked it.
Arnold's comeback was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because the end of it was, basically, you go back and do TV because you know it better, and I'll become president, and we'll all be able to sleep at night again. It was a brilliant
up high, down
comeback.
hard.
And of course, could Trump leave it alone?
No.
He's tweeting again today, firing back. He's a nobody. He was an awful governor, et cetera, et cetera.
Good show. Celebrity Apprentice. I've
not seen it with Arnold. Have you seen it with
Just a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the weather because I know you guys love the weather. Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow. That means there will be 6 more weeks of winter. But does that mean anything to us here in Minnesota when we just know it's going to be cold until March anyway, Justin?
Well, yeah, March, April, or like a couple of years ago, sometimes May when it snowed. I'll tell you what, it hasn't been that bad of a winter here. Has it?
No,
we've had
it's not.
I know it's
we've had some
cold
stretches.
now. It's back in like the single digits, but maybe we're getting tougher, you and I. I don't know. I doubt it, but it's been a pretty good winter.
It's been a pretty good winter, much to the chagrin of the weather terrorists. They're
okay, and finally, we keep talking about the Super Bowl. Get this. According to the website jet.com, Doritos is America's top Super Bowl chip. We're talking nacho cheese, not ranch.
It's got to be nacho cheese.
Yeah, of course. What is your favorite Super Bowl party food? I'm going with taco dip. Dan?
That's a great one.
Taco dip's too messy.
No, it's great. With Doritos,
you drip it off when you're trying to talk to people.
You're never
I'm
trying
going
to
to contradict myself because no, that's true. Chicken wing. I'm a big chicken wing guy. I can't get it out. Now, and again, that's not the easiest if you're trying to converse and you got
the trick here is
towelette and you got the grease on your hands.
This was a trick question because
what do you mean?
There are no bad Super Bowl foods. That's the beauty of the Super Bowl.
You're not a big Super Bowl party.
Yeah, I like them.
Lori is.
I like the food. Well, yeah, we know Lori is with the Doritos and everything, but you get to eat whatever you want. It's like a buffet and things mixed together. There are no wrong answers.
It's a guilt-free day.